All right, guys, I'm back again. Like I said, I would be for part two. In part one, we talk about the gym, education, finance, and style. We also talked a little bit about hobbies, lowering calories, and creating a proper schedule for yourself to stay productive. In this video, we're going to be talking about dating apps, social media, first dates, second dates, and third dates. Now, everybody knows there's been a stigma on dating apps for a long time. A lot of people are still pretty uncomfortable with getting on dating apps, but that is definitely changing slowly. A lot of people have accepted that it's just a more streamlined way to meet people. It saves a lot of time. Before you meet the person, you can vet for certain things like, how they present themselves so you can understand where they are financially. You can vet for education if you want somebody with a bachelor's degree. You can vet for lifestyle. You can kind of filter out the types of people that you don't want to be around or you don't want to date. So a lot of people, especially women, are using it to basically save them time. What's the point of going out there and going on random dates with random guys who approach you in real life when you don't get to vet them in any way? You don't get to put them in any kind of category. Now they want to know who you are. They want to know what you're about because they're in complete abundance. They don't have to take any old dude who walks up to them anymore. So it's on you to make sure that you're using dating apps in some capacity even if you're not taking it super serious, it's just important for you to at least have your photo out there, a few pictures, and a decent profile that gives you an opportunity to meet people because it's just a lot more productive to do it that way. Even though people judge it, it makes sense. I mean, most people these days meet their person on dating apps. So if you're still one of the people who looks at it in a negative way, I mean, you're honestly just wasting your time because all the younger people are on it, they're using it, and it just kind of is what it is. It's basically like if you have a really good product, why wouldn't you market it to as many people as possible? So that's what's happening, accept it or not. I'm here to tell you guys that you do have to get on dating apps. It is something really important if you're trying to find a partner, trying to get a woman, trying to get women, trying to gain experience, whatever you're trying to do, you have to get on dating apps. There's no way around it. If you don't, then you're going to be the only other strategy that you could use that would mimic the leverage you have by using dating apps would be to literally have like a notebook and approach hundreds of women per week or hundreds of women per month. And you can spend a massive amount of time doing that and wasting a lot of time. So it's just easier to create a good profile, create some good pictures, even if you have to hire a photographer or whatever you got to do. The better you do in the presentation of your profile means the more optimized and the more likely it is for you to meet somebody. So do a good job on it and then put it out there and let it be what it is. Don't stress it too much, but you know, it's important that you get it out there. Another one, I might have briefly kind of touched on it, but social media. So there's dating apps, which is basically social media, but you want to also try to have some sort of an Instagram following because a lot of the people you meet are going to want to, basically, if they're not sure of you, they're going to want to see your social media. So you might ask somebody for their number and they're most likely going to be like, oh, you can add me on Instagram. Now, what that means is I either don't want your number, so she doesn't want to give you the number, or she is trying to find a way to see more of you. So your profile is cool, but she's been around the block. She knows that that doesn't necessarily mean those pictures are updated. Doesn't necessarily mean that those pictures are currently you or your lifestyle. That could have been from a year ago. People money fluctuates, so people could be up, for 6 months and then they're down for another 6 months. So women know that, and they're going to want to see that you are kind of keeping up with the lifestyle that you portrayed in that dating profile. So they might ask for your social media. They might want to see what stories you post. They might just watch you for months, and they might never say anything. They might watch you, and then they might post something to get your attention. So it's just important to try to have that. I mean, obviously, you don't have to do any of these things, but I just like to do things in a way that makes it the most optimal way to do it, the way that probably would yield the biggest result. So if you're going to be trying to talk to women slash gain experience slash meet people, whatever, so that at least, let's say you're not a womanizer or anything like that, which I'm not suggesting these videos, just because you watch these videos doesn't mean you are. It's just that as a man, you do have to gain experience for you to know who you're picking. It would be really stupid of you to come out here in 2025 and marry the first girl that you date or the first person you sleep with. So you do have to get experience somehow, and this is just an effective way of doing it. So yeah, have a social media presence, have that social media presence, represent who you actually are. Don't fabricate stuff. Don't make it seem like you're somebody you're not, obviously. But you want to be on social media. You want to be on Instagram. I would say you definitely want to have an Instagram. You might want to have a Facebook, but Instagram and a dating profile pretty much covers all the online things you need in regards to trying to gain experience or get a woman or anything around those realms. So you got your dating apps, you got your social media. So now you've done the seemingly hard part. Now it's time for you to have some sort of strategy when it comes to first dates, second dates, and third dates. Because you're going to be going through these. It's just going to be a bit of a cycle until you find your special someone. So you really got to know what your budget is. You have to know what you're willing to spend on the first date, because most of the time the failure rate for the first date is going to be the highest. The second date is going to convert a little bit better. And then if you make it to 3 dates with someone, you probably have an opportunity to be in some sort of a relationship, whether that's long or short term. So I would say that the first date is really the one that you want to have the lowest investment in. This is one that you want to set up in a way where it doesn't make you seem like you're trying to do too much. It doesn't make you seem like you're trying to impress the girl too much, but you also want it to be something to where you guys have an opportunity to talk. Maybe it's like dimly lit. It kind of sets a good mood as far as conversation wise. And you want to take it to something where it's a low investment. It's closer to your place so you don't have to drive too far. Because the way you're looking at this is not just you have the opportunity to meet her and oh my God, you're so lucky to be in the presence of this woman. It's that she has the opportunity to meet you and you could potentially be her retirement plan, absolve her from the work struggle that everybody's going through. And this is the mentality you should have. Obviously, you're trying to be successful. You're not trying to date women in order to remain poor. So you plan on having enough abundance to be able to take care of one. So you have to present yourself in that way. You have to assume the role of a provider, even if you're not one yet. You still have to see yourself as that. It's better to view yourself as a millionaire and treat yourself that way from the start than to wait until you become one in order to treat yourself that way. Because when you treat yourself like a millionaire, you're actually creating a stronger pathway to become one, if that makes sense. The spiritual people should know what I'm talking about. um, but yeah, treat yourself like the provider that you are or that you're going to be. Treat yourself like the type of man who, when she sits in front of, you have everything taken care of. Even if you just make 35K, 40K, 50K, one day you're going to make 100, 200, 300, because what else are you going to do? You might as well. And you want to present yourself with that type of confidence. So when you pick the first date, even if you think she's a 10 out of 10, it should be something simple and low investment. So it shouldn't be Ruth's Chris. It shouldn't be, a really expensive restaurant. I don't even really recommend that it is a restaurant. I think it should be something like grain and berry, like maybe yogurt, ice cream, something like that. Something simple to where you guys can grab it. Something simple to where you guys can grab a bite. You guys can eat something real quick, but it's not heavy. It's not a big meal. It's not going to make her uncomfortable or feel like she has to kind of, hide her mouth while she's eating. Just something light, something easy. That way you guys can spark some conversation and get things going that way. Now, if this date doesn't go well, you have to have the mindset that it's okay. You kind of expected that. You weren't really sure of her either. You have to carry that mindset. You're not sure if you like this girl. Just because she looks good doesn't mean she's everything. Doesn't mean she's a good mother. Doesn't mean she argues to resolve problems rather than to just be combative and to be immature. Doesn't mean she's healthy for you. Doesn't mean she's ever going to do anything to further your life. So you don't have to look at her and pedestalize her. You got to do everything you can to see the woman for what she actually is. And what she is on the first date is just a girl. It's just a girl who happens to look good enough or took enough interest in you to move to step one. And that's all that is. It's just step one, not a big deal. Expect it to fail, and then you're going in with the right mindset for the most part. Obviously, don't go in there negative, but don't go in there tripping if it doesn't work out. You should actually have the mindset of, if you go on this first date and the wrong thing is said, or she kind of has an entitled type of mindset or disposition, you should be ready to walk out on that day. I've walked out on plenty of first dates, no problem. Went, told the waitress, hey, this isn't going well. I'm not really feeling this situation. I'm going to pay the bill and I'm going to head out, and she'll figure it out in like 15 minutes. But if you're not ruthless like I am, or I have been, you can be nice and you can politely end things, or you can just stick it through and pay. even if you don't like her, and just kind of be a sucker in that way. But after doing that like 3 or 4 times, you stop doing that because obviously dating is not free for men, it's only free for women. Moving on to date number two. So, date number two, she already spent some time with you on the first date. She saw that you're really 2 inches shorter than you said you were. You saw that she's really not a 10, she's about a 7. And you guys are still okay with each other. You guys talked a little bit about finances, about where you want to be in life, about your green and red flags, all that kind of goofy stuff. And you guys are still willing to sit with each other and get to know each other more. So that's cool. So on this date, what you want to do is try to take her to a decent dinner to show her that you appreciate the fact that she showed some investment in you. And that could just be something simple like a steakhouse. Okay, maybe not a steakhouse, but something simple like, I don't know, like one level above Chipotle, but a couple levels below, like, I don't know, a Roof Chris, or maybe something like a Cheesecake Factory, something where you spend 50 to $100. The first date should be like 25 to like $40. The second date should be, 50 to $100. And then the third date, I still say to keep that around 50 to $100 because, I mean, honestly, unless this person is your girlfriend or going to be your wife, you don't need to be spending $100 or $200 on a dinner, in my opinion. I've only spent $300+ on a dinner like twice in my life, and I mean, it's not something I plan to do regularly. And I've had girlfriends, and I've also had a wife before, so just not something that makes sense financially. And once a dinner starts costing upwards of like $150, you're just paying for a bunch of stuff that has nothing to do with the food anyway. So fine dining is a scam too. I could do a whole nother video on that. But fine dining is not real. Fine dining is completely fake. Anyway, yeah. So date number two, you do that. 50 to $100, nice and simple. Keep it easy. Keep it interesting. Continue conversation. This is the date where you don't want to mess things up because innately and subconsciously, the woman knows that the third date is a pretty big one. It's a pretty special one, and it dictates sort of the pace of the relationship. Now, the third date, this is where things get tricky because this is where you really have to kind of know what you're doing, and this is where the skill gap is. And I should have mentioned that on the second date, you want to initiate some sort of contact, but I feel like advice like that is just kind of weird because people are very awkward, and if they're taking your advice and they're like, okay, well, Chiron said on the second date, I need to initiate contact, so you're just gonna be weird and just grab her leg or something, and that's not gonna be what I kind of intended. So I would say that physical contact should naturally happen throughout date 1 through 2. Don't try to make that like a checklist item where you got to go in and literally try to force physical contact and grab her on her shoulder or do some weird shit like that. You want to keep it nice and simple, keep it nice and calm and relaxed. And like if you have to pull out a chair, you got to kind of touch her arm to guide her to sit down. Like stuff like that is gonna naturally happen. Dudes are so strange that like you really have to talk about this stuff, but still got to mention it. So you still want to do that. You want to initiate some sort of contact on date number 1 through 2. The reason I say you want to initiate some sort of contact on date 1 and 2 is because on date number 3, the goal of mine was always to push it. Date number 3 is where, and this was like a checklist item for me. I'm inviting you to my place on date number 3. And I know this is controversial. I know that women would probably be like, I would never do that. But they do it, and they did it all the time, okay? They can say whatever in public and act like they wouldn't do it. But for the right guy, the guy that they think is everything on paper and seems to be everything in person, they're doing almost anything. So, in my opinion, if you try on date number 3 and the girl declines going back to your place, and I'm not saying you're trying to sleep with anyone, I'm just saying that you're trying to escalate things to get to a place of like a closed environment where you guys are in a more intimate environment just naturally. So you want to find a way to get her to your place, whether you tell her, I have a nice view if you live in like a high rise or whatever like that, or if you let her know that, hey, I have some wine at the house. Instead of doing it there, we can do it over there. Just something like that, some sort of setup that you have to where you can push some sort of invite back to your place. And in my opinion, if she doesn't go back to your place and you don't hear from her, she didn't like you enough and you saved yourself time. And that's just how I always looked at it. And the conversion rate on this is different for each person. It depends, obviously. If you try this on, girls who look really good, 10 out of 10 type women, the conversion rate's going to be low, most likely, unless you can garner that type of attention, you're a millionaire or something like that. If you try it on girls that you deem like 7, 8, 9, might be a little bit better. But the point is to try it on everyone, because who cares? If you're gonna be dating somebody for 3 dates, and by date number 3 you've spent $150, at what point are you gonna be like, okay, let me cut my losses, or okay, let me try to invite this girl to my place so we can, see if we have some sort of connection. Obviously you break the touch barrier, as they say. Maybe you haven't gotten a kiss yet by date number 3, so it's not like you're expecting to sleep with her on date number 3, but you're expecting to at least get her in a closed environment where you guys can talk more intimately and see if there's a little bit more chemistry. I don't see anything wrong with that. I don't think that's being evil. I don't think that's being deceitful. And I think that's straightforward. I think the wrong way to do it is try to get people to come to your place without even meeting them, which people do all the time. Or first date, you're inviting the girl over to your place. I think that's a lot. I've done it, but I think date number 3 is a respectful way to go. Like, that's the gentlemanly approach, in my opinion. So I don't know if there's anybody out there who disagrees, but that's just the way I see it. And that's pretty much it. Just a few things on how to set yourself up properly 2025. I'll have more videos coming in the future, guys, and I'll talk to you next time.